Hey everyone, and welcome to the Rooster Teeth podcast. I'm Gus.
Oh, I'm Gavin.
I'm Chad.
And I am Barbara. Hello.
And I'm Gus.
Oh, the tiny hands.
Hello, Barbara Little Hands. I see the surgery was successful.
I bought these off Amazon because I was like, surely there's something I could do with these. And I wanted to just have
Cosplay
them
as
on for the
Trump.
whole podcast and never say anything and see if people would notice.
You blew
How
it.
could we not notice?
Because
Yeah.
I have very small hands. Stop it.
So
We always call you the Donald Trump of the Rooster Teeth podcast. Speaking of hands, I did something. I stabbed myself in the palm of my hand yesterday by accident.
Oh yeah.
I was washing my kitchen knife by hand.
Oh, God.
And it was slippery with the soap, and in the sink, it slipped out of my hands, and I did that thing where you instinctively reach to try to grab it, and right as I grabbed it, I pulled back, and the tip went right into the palm of my left hand, and I did that thing where it hurts, so I closed my left fist, and I all those thoughts went through my head, I'm gonna have to go to the hospital, I'm gonna have to get stitches, and I'm gonna get COVID when I'm at the hospital. This is
Oh
it.
my God.
This is how it's all gonna happen. And I opened my hand and looked at it, and it had barely pierced my hand. It didn't even bleed. I was
Wow.
like-
Oh, it's
I was
just a little
oh my
nick.
God, it's a miracle. I can see the hole. I can see where it cut me, but it didn't bleed, and I was totally fine. I was like, oh, I feel like I really dodged a huge bullet.
Or
yeah,
like
that
you
could've been
dodged
bad.
a knife.
Yeah, does that mean
Yeah.
you just missed the vein?
I don't know, because I could see it. It hurts, and I can see the flesh, I guess.
Or maybe this
But-
is how you determine your superpower. You just got to commit. You got to go further. See if just can go all the way through.
Is it just my own feedback here, or is my camera not at all lined up with my voice?
It's
It's
a
just
little
you.
off.
I think.
No, we're working on it. Thanks
okay.
for stopping down for
Penis.
that, though. Appreciate it.
Penises.
We had a whole slew of new technical issues starting this podcast that we haven't experienced in 3 months.
We've been doing this thing.
Chrome and
we've been doing
Vmix have this wicked feature, right, where you press the camera icon and it lets you pick all of your cameras, except you can't do that, and it doesn't work, and it's grayed out at all times.
I'm telling you, somewhere there's a Windows setting that it's not allowing browsers to access your cameras. There's a security setting somewhere.
I was clearly
Let me really-
accessing it. I just can't
I mean-
piss about with it.
Let me think.
Go, Barbara.
Let me think.
Maybe, Barbara, could you lend Gavin a hand?
What to get out?
Did you hit yourself?
Maybe. Wait, I should get a drink.
So, Gus, dude, that's not gonna go well.
seconds before disaster.
Oh, yeah. Oh, look at the straws
She's gonna
going.
freeze and then glitch out and drop from the connection.
Like she's wrestling a snake.
Tiny little hands.
Oh, what other tasks can we say? Can you blow your
Refreshing.
nose?
Oh yeah.
The only tissue I have here is one I used to dab my lipstick, so it's a little bit red.
Okay, that looks pretty convincing. That's pretty good.
Oh my lord. So
Sorry, I have a phone call. Let me just quickly.
guess
That's it, folks. The next 90 minutes, we're gonna let Barbara do things with her
Oh,
tiny
God.
hands.
My
Yeah.
earphones came out. Now
This
I
is a-
can't hear you guys.
if you guys are listening to the audio version of this podcast, you might want to check out the video for this one.
No,
No.
it's worth it.
For sure. Gus, in high school, I jokingly say this is when I got my first tattoo because I was sitting in a desk in math and I was just just sitting there listening to the teacher and I was just kind of bouncing my foot and it caused my pencil to roll out of that pencil groove that's at the top of desks, right? So it starts rolling and it goes and it's falling off my desk. And so I go to really quickly catch it. What happens is the eraser snags on my shorts, points the pencil up, and and then just slam my hand straight into this pencil. And I so vividly remember going, ah! And then I then I look up and I'm staring and the pencil is in my hand. And I go, and then the teacher looks at me. She's like, excuse me? And then I just go, and she goes, oh, go to the nurse. And I was just
You
She
joked
looked at you and-
your hand.
yeah. So I have a dot. There's no way you're gonna see that
No, that's
on this
so-
camera, but I have a little dot in the dead center of my palm from when I did that.
If she was like, that's not an excuse, stay in class.
I know, right?
I think one of my similar injuries like that was I was once stapling a bunch of shit, and if you just pull a stapler open to reload it, it still staples that way. You just have to whack it against stuff, and I just leant on it. I got up, and it went, and I was like, huh. And I just looked at my hand, and there was just just the line of a staple had gone in, and I was like, did that like go in and close inwards? But I guess the other side of the stapler is what bends,
what
the
bends it.
staple in.
Yeah.
But it was all the way in, and I was like, oh, that's in. Oh god, and it didn't hurt. It barely hurt. I was just like, oh. Just had two tiny holes for a little bit.
I knew a kid at my summer camp. I've known him for so many years at this point, and he's always had these teeth. I'm going to leave these hands in, by the way, for as long as possible.
Yeah,
of course.
But he had teeth that were kind of like, they came out this way. So they're kind of at an angle, like a 45-degree angle out. And, you know, I just thought that that's the way kind of his teeth grew, his jaw and his gums and all that stuff. Like some people just have teeth that look like that. I found out years after knowing him that when he was a kid, he was swinging on two desks in elementary school.
Oh God.
And slipped and hit his teeth, like his upper teeth, into the desk in front of him, and it literally pushed all of them back.
Oh my God.
So don't do that, kids.
I didn't realize that was even possible. I figured they would just all pop out.
Why didn't they fix them?
Well, I mean, yeah, they
It's
were
bad.
probably loose. They probably dropped. I don't know. They probably just let them see if they'd take, because that's what happened to my. If
Yeah,
you don't
sorry,
like,
guys.
if
Bad
you don't
tea
like,
story.
oh yeah, if you don't like tea stories, this one's bad too. My friend had it was just in the skate park days, and so he had braces on like longer than I have ever met anyone. Like, and I remember it's Friday. It's Friday at the skate park, and he's there, and he's all like jazzed. And he's like, guys, I get my braces out like later today. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. You finally, he's like, yeah, it's been forever. I'm so excited. I'm so done with braces. We're like, okay, cool. So Monday, he shows back up to the skate park, not to skate, just to hang out. And he's in braces. We're like, I thought you were getting your braces off. He got his braces off on that Friday, went to a different skate park on Saturday, tried to do a transfer from one ramp over a gap, and just completely fucked it up, which made his arms fly backwards, and he literally ate the side of the next ramp, knocked out all of his front teeth, tops and bottoms. So they like tried to like, you know, like pick him up, and like people were trying to find him and stuff. And so they first tried to like put them all back in and like with braces to see if they would like retake and be okay, and then it did not work, so now he has like fake teeth all along here.
How did we get down this rabbit hole? We I started with the hand thing. Let's stop. Let's do
You
something
did
else.
well. I mean, you said your fear was the hospital. I just came out of the hospital.
What other
That was
terrible
fun.
injuries could we talk about?
How was that?
Oh, it was fucking terrible. Okay. So the other day, what was this? I don't know, a couple weeks ago, my son hit me in the crotch so hard that I thought I developed a hernia, because I was just dozing on the couch and he's running back and forth on like the side of the sectional, and he full on trips at like insane toddler speed and tries to recover, but what actually ends up happening is I got a full force like toddler stiff arm straight to my crotch.
Oh my God.
Now, I've been hitting the genitals a lot. You've seen Extra Life. I used to skate. I've slid like rails down. I have never been in this much pain there in my life. Like, I had to go wake up April, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. I know it's your day to sleep in, but like, I can't move. Like, you know, so I thought I was going to throw up.
It's
like,
ironic because that's where he came from.
Right.
He's destroying the very
attacking
home
the
he was
source.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm like, okay, I'm dead. I literally had to like take a pain nap. Like I just like took painkillers and like just like curled up and went to sleep. So over the next couple days, my right nut starts swelling up a bit. And then also so like the spot right where your leg meets your groin, that like crease, you know, that goes along. I got just like,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, do you have a name for it?
The inguinal region, I believe, is it's called.
You're actually correct.
hell.
It is, because I thought I had an inguinal hernia. Wow. I thought you were going to make something up.
No, I know some things.
Apparently. You know a lot of stuff about groins.
I'm kind of a groin connoisseur.
That can that be the name of this episode? So I got like this like right like I was like it starts to swell like right there just a little bit. Just like a little bump, and I was just like, that's weird. But then I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I just have like an ingrown hair, right? Have you guys ever had that happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And so like, I was like, oh, fuck, I probably just have an ingrown hair. Over the next couple days, it proceeds to swell more and more and started to turn like kind of purplish. And I'm like, I like put Neosporin and stuff on it. And I was like trying to, and I was like, fuck, I bet I have an infected ingrown hair. So I was like, I guess I'll make an appointment with like a web clinic. I don't know what I'm going to have to do. Like I was not really looking forward to being like, yeah, hey, check this out.
Just imagine you're on chat roulette.
Yeah. So just keep going until you get a doctor. So I'm like, all right, I try and make a web appointment to like, you know, check it out or whatever. By the end of that day, like it went to like full crazy mode and I was in agony and I hadn't heard back. Like it swelled up. It was probably like this big.
Oh my
Started
God,
like
dude.
it had ripple swelling down like my left thigh, and
Dude.
it was not looking good, and I was like hurting. It felt like just this burning pressure. So that's when I was just like, okay, they haven't called me back, and like now I'm worried. And that's when I started thinking, I was like, oh God, Logan, like, you know, obliterated my balls the other day. Like I was like, oh my, you can get a hernia there. And I was like, oh, I swear. And of course, like, oh great, what else can happen in this year? Like, awesome, let's deal with the hernia. So I find a clinic that takes walk-ins. And so I go there and I hobble my ass in, and I'm just like not feeling good. Nothing's not a good time. So the nurse asks me a bunch of questions. I tell her, and the doctor comes in, and she doesn't even look at it. The second she's like, and I was like, oh yeah, and there's also, you know, been some swelling in my right testicle, but it seems to be going down. She's like, you need to go to the ER. And I was like,
Oh
what?
fuck.
And she was
I
like,
think it was a torsion.
yeah. She was like, we don't, like, anytime you have swelling, like, nope, like you go straight to the ER, because if it is testicular torsion, you will lose your ball.
Yeah, you have like a matter of minutes or hours before you just lose a bollock.
Yeah. So she's like, go to the ER right now. And I'm like,
Even better.
yeah. So I'm just like, okay. So like, she's like, we're not even gonna charge you for this visit. Just go to the one like right down the street. I'm like, all right. And so like hobble my way out. I like April to watch the kids. So I'm like driving, but I'm like so uncomfortable. So I'm like trying to like lean back and just like find a good angle. So I get in there and I check in, and it was the most awkward thing because there's like one other person in the waiting room, one person standing behind me, and they've got this like ultimate, it looks like bank teller plexiglass, like, right? And this lady is sitting at like the corner. And so she's just like,
Sup?
and I'm like, what? She's like, I'm just like, I can't hear. And I'm like pushing my ear up to the little like slotted hole. And she's like, what's your name? And then we go through that. And then she's like, and what's the problem? So that's be like, I think I have a hernia.
My ball's falling off.
My ball is swollen. Like, you know, so I'm like yelling this in this room. And so then I go and she's like, well, I'll be with you or whatever. So I go and I sit down. And they were doing a good job. They had like certain chairs and like places so everyone could social distance. So that was good. But the only thing that made me feel a little bit better about that moment is I'm like, fuck me. And I'm just sitting in this chair. I hit the guy who was behind me. The only words I heard was testicular pain. Said like, just like that. And I was like, hey, I've got a ball brother. So they get me in. I'm like, yeah, I think I've got a hernia. They're like, all right, cool. Take your pants off. I'm like, great. Awesome. I would like to point out that this day is April and I's wedding anniversary.
Oh,
So-
congratulations.
Happy anniversary.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's great. So I'm pantsless with a nurse and a doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, I don't think it's a hernia. And I was like, okay, well that's good news. He's like, I'm pretty sure what it is you got a skin infection from either like an ingrown hair or like you guys get one of those like heat blisters or whatever from like something just like rubbing up. Anyway, he's like, yeah, whatever it was, it just looks like it never came to the surface. So he's like, that can just happen, and then the like anytime you get that as like a little mini infection, then they go away, right? He's like, but it didn't have anywhere to go, so it just like kept developing under the skin. He's like, I'm like, okay, so like, what do we just need to do some antibiotics? He's like, no, we're probably gonna have to lance it. And I was just like,
Oh God, ew.
What does that mean?
oh, it sucked. They're like, also, we're gonna need to ultrasound your balls just to make sure. And I'm like, cool.
Of course.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I'm
You're a
sitting
father
there.
of millions.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there pantsless with a towel over my crotch. And the guys, even the doctor said, after he said he's going to lance you, he's like, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, it's going to suck. And I'm just like, Cool.
Did they numb it and stuff?
Cool.
And that's the worst part. So he tells me, he's like, we're gonna have to numb it up, and they have to give you a lidocaine shot. And if you've ever seen the size of the needle for a lidocaine shot, it is massive, right? It's not like epidural size, but it's significant. So first of all, this dude comes walking in, and he puts the syringe on the corner of the table next to me, like pointed at me, and then leaves. And I'm sitting there for I think like 20 minutes alone, pantsless, just staring at this huge fucking needle. And I'm just like,
That's like in a movie in a torture scene where they lay out all the torture devices to the person so they can stare at them. That's the same thing they made you do.
right. And I'm sort of like, oh, this is coming. Like, I see this. I am not looking forward to this. So then the guy's like coming in, he's like starting to get ready. And then the nurse comes in and she's like, okay. And she has another syringe. I'm like, what's that? And she's just like, oh, well, this is going to be for the pain. And I'm like, what? She's like, it's not going to help with that. But like, this is for like your general pain, like later. And I was like, I just had this moment because I just remember being like, but that comes in pill form. You see, look what this guy's about to do to me. Like, and she gives me a shot in the arm. And then this
It's
dude,
just comical at this point.
I know. So then this guy grabs the syringe and this is what I learned. I thought I had a phobia of getting my blood drawn because it's never been needles for me, but it's like, I can't stand, like I can't even be touched here. Like I go into like full fight or flight mode and like, it's really bad. I like full on like near panic attack phobia every time I have to get my blood drawn. Guess what I found out? It has nothing to do with blood or being drawn. It is sharp objects being placed in very vulnerable spaces. So I'm like, first of all, I'm like trying to like hold my junk out the way because I'm like, hey, like, yeah, like just go. And he's like, you need to move your hands, like, because I've got a syringe. Like, you need to move your hands. I'm like, yeah, but I really want to like cover that area because I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now. And he's like, no, I understand, man, but like, you just gotta like, he's like, just like grip the rails. So I go, oh, fuck.
Grip the rails?
So I literally,
What doctor is this?
I mean,
Bite on this piece of leather,
right.
grab the rails.
So
Take a shot of whiskey.
Yeah, so I reach my hands around the bed. The rails aren't up, they're down. And the lady's like, so I'm like holding them under the bed really tight. And the nurse is like, do you want me to put them up? I'm like, no, we're good here. Like, and so I'm just like, all right, let's do this. He's like, just a heads up, I'm going to have to give you like multiple. I'm like, okay.
Why? Okay.
Because you have to like where it was at, like he has to hit like all the nerves around there, right?
Okay.
6
No!
fucking times with this giant needle going in, and he's like, okay, and it's in. I'm like, yep. And he's just like, all right, you're gonna feel some burning. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, so that's there. And then he's like, hits another spot, and I'm like, again, this is all like this far from my junk, and so I'm just like, this is awful. And the worst part was after the 5th one. He goes, okay, and then I'm like, oh, and he's like, just one more. And I was like, what?
Get that false hope.
Oh, I was
Great
so
job, dude. You powered through. Now just one more.
And we're all done
Yeah.
after this one.
Exactly. I was so mad. Because I was just like, dude, this is not fair. This is not fair. You saw where I'm at. You said, okay, you should know. So then he gives me that one last one, and I'm like, oh god, fuck. Okay. So then he's like, is it numb? And he's like poking at it. I'm like, almost. And then we're like, okay, we're there.
He's just
Good
like there
enough.
swatting at your balls.
Yeah, pretty much.
Feel
That's all he
that?
was. Yeah, well, that's the other part. He's like, when he's like checking it out to make sure it wasn't a hernia, he's like squeezing it, and it was like really uncomfortable.
Oh.
So then he pulls out the syringe and pops off the top, and he's just like, all right, this part you really don't have your hands anywhere near. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, what? But then he just like starts to go to, I'm like, hey, like, can we get some info here? Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah, how's it going? What's going on?
Yeah, like, are we gonna slice it? Are we poking at it? What's happening? Because you got a syringe, a really, really sharp one right next to my balls. And he's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna poke it straight in. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm back on the rails, right? And I'm just like, okay, mm-hmm. And then he goes and just boom, just pushes it straight into the center. It was a lot of pus and blood. I also realized I told this on the post show for Death Battle Cast, so Cody has had to hear this twice now, and I grossed him the hell out the first time.
So was it anything to do with the impact, or was
Nope.
it an ingrown hair?
Oh, just total coincidence.
It was
that the
it
two-
was a complete coincidence in the spot it was in and everything. Yeah, so it was either just like an ingrown hair or like a heat blister or something that just never made it to the surface and got infected under there.
God, dude.
I hated
So-
that. I hated that story.
well, I'll pick it up because you gotta keep in mind, I at this point, that's problem number one. So then they're like, all right, the doctor straight up is like, well, anyway, I wanted to lance this first because I gotta go. And I'm like, okay. He's like, somebody else will come in here in a bit after, we get you all scanned up and they'll tell you about it. And I was like, all right, thanks, dude. He's like, yeah, no problem, man. Hang in there. And he leaves to go home. So then this lady comes in with the sonogram machine. And she's like, hi, I'm Christy. I'm here to scan your testicles and scrotum. And now I'm in full, I just went through all this other shit. I'm just like, humor. I'm gonna cope with humor.
You're like, knock yourself out, love. I can't feel a thing.
Yeah, right. I was just like, hi, Christy. I'm Chad. This is not how I intended to spend my wedding anniversary. So then she hands me a towel. Because he gave me a new one after the bad other stuff. And then she's like, all right, I'm just going to need you to place your penis against your abdomen. I'm like, thank you so much. This is wonderful. Cool. So we do that. And then she's like, all right, now you're going to feel some worm gel. And sure enough, I'm sitting here after just getting this thing lanced, and this woman rubbing warm gel on my balls. And then she starts just scanning everywhere, being real thorough, not saying a word. And I'm just lying there. I'm like, this is
I have a question about this.
Awful. Yeah.
So, is anybody holding your balls as they're doing this, or are they just like on you and she's just rubbing it?
Well,
is there cuppage?
Well, so here's the thing, Barb. Do you know about the testicles' defense mechanism?
They shrivel up.
Oh yeah, when you are uncomfortable or threatened, that shit goes on lockdown, right?
It's like a turtle.
They rescind into the body.
So I wasn't just relaxed as hell, and they weren't just hanging out. It was full defense mode. If we could put a lock on them, we would. So yeah, there was no cupping needed, but she just ran it all around, and then I was just like, hey, can you get me one of those printouts so I can put it next to the pictures of my kids?
I can imagine her scanning away and being like, can you send your balls back down there? This scrotum is completely empty. They've retreated up into your stomach.
Did you get a printout of it?
No.
Aw.
I know. She then...
You put it on your fridge.
Yeah, exactly. Next to, the pictures of when April got her ultrasound with the fetuses of our kids.
Right.
So... she's does not say anything the whole time, and I just hear taking pictures, she's click doing the thing
on her phone for some reason.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me start my Instagram live.
Yeah. And so I don't know what's happening, and I'm like, is everything okay? But she's not saying anything. So then she's like, okay, we're all done, and here's a towel, you can clean yourself up. And that was not easy because I'm already I've just been stabbed here, and then the gel was everywhere.
I mean, it's probably better you do it and not someone else because you know your sensitivity at this point, right?
For sure. So, but then she's like, okay. And she starts to leave. And I'm like, hey, everything look okay? And she was like, oh, just see, I'm going to, I scan these. I'm going to send these off. And a radiology technician's going to look at them. And then the doctor's going to look at them. And then they're going to come in here and talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So then I sat there for a while. And then they had somebody come in and we're just like, yeah, everything looks good. But, follow up with your urologist in case, if your ball starts swelling
again. Did they at least give you a lollipop
in
after all of this?
What if the guy come back in and be like, your vasectomy was a total success?
So, that's the thing. I've had a vasectomy, Gav.
Oh, you have? Oh, shit.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you've had one, yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been the opposite. All right, and we fixed that vasectomy. What? I'm not going through that again.
The way we found out about it is, I think, was it that morning, we just got a message from Chad, it was a couple weeks ago, that was just a picture of you in the hospital. We were like, I'm going to be away from the computer today, guys. And you were giving it a thumbs up.
Yep. I think you were in a gown, one of those hospital gowns and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I didn't know what to do because it got gel all over it. And then I didn't have another one. So I just got cleaned up and then put my clothes back on, and then they were cool with that, so that was fine.
How long is it? Did they give you some type of estimate until you could be active again down there?
The only thing, that was the other thing too, because then that was just that's ruled out for the anniversary sexy time. So the guy, and he was just like, yeah, so like, oh, I didn't even tell you the grossest part.
Oh, for Christ's sake!
How could you forget that?
So he had to put a cloth funnel in the incision, which is he takes a piece of gauze and wraps it into like a little funnel, and then takes some tweezers and jams it down into the wound. That one sucked.
But
that was
why?
because it's still going to be kind of like leaking pus and gross stuff, and they don't want it to close up really quick because they want all that shit to get out of there before it then closes up. And so he was like, all right, so that's going to be there. Like, be real careful, but like, honestly, it'll probably fall out after like a day. If not, you'll have to like come back in and get it like removed. And I was like, sweet. And he's like, so don't get in water until it's like not like fully healed, but like, you know, like scabbed over. He's like, but like showers are fine. And I'm like, okay, cool. I made damn sure that next day that thing came out, because I was like, I don't want this to like, I'm not going back. Like, I'm not doing it. And like, it was very gross. I showed April and she almost threw up. So
I've been spending some time in a hospital recently just as a visitor. And I now have like a permanent dent in my beard from wearing a mask for so long. You see it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I kind of see it.
It's like been perfected.
It's like your beard's a different color.
Yeah. But I went, while we were just waiting at the hospital, I went to a nearby convenience store, a little part of a gas station. And it was like my first time seeing other people in months. It was weird, like to be in a store. And I was buying waters for everyone. And it was like the tall smart waters that I got. I just grabbed a handful. And between like at the checkout, there's like a big like plastic barrier, I guess, because of COVID. So I like snuck the bottles under there, and the guy scanned them, and then I paid him, and then he gave them back to me. But I guess the barrier was just hanging. It wasn't like fixed. It was just hanging on some string, and the tops of the bottles hit the barrier, and it hit me in the face. Like all of the gross like people talking and spluttering onto it.
That's worse than your knob hitting the urinal.
I know. I got like just like 100 COVID samples to the face, I assume. I was wearing a mask, and it kind of hit my mask, but I was just like, that was unfortunate. That is terrible design. Has that never happened to a customer? God damn it. So I'm gonna stay in for a couple of weeks.
Didn't they? I mean, I'm sure like contact and stuff like that is not great, but didn't they find that it's all like it's at least mostly respiratory? Isn't that like a new finding that they had?
I don't know.
It conceivably gets closer to his like nose and his face and stuff.
I'll be honest, Barbara, I still wasn't over the moon about it.
I would want you to be.
Which is why it's important.
Even if this wasn't happening, right? Even if it was COVID didn't exist, even if we weren't in a pandemic, if I was living my day-to-day life and that happened to me, I would be freaking out. I would be like dunking my head in hand sanitizer. I would like have a bucket labeled head sanitizer, and my head would be in there for an hour.
It's just a steamer. You just 1 second.
And I feel like I honestly feel like I've been so careful this entire pandemic. I've like barely left the house. I've not gone anywhere. And like the couple of times I've gone out, that kind of thing happens. Like that when I was telling the story about how I picked up that meal and the woman like gave me the bag, and then I leant down and the handle of the bag went in my mouth. It's like stuff like that keeps happening to me. It's just
Don't
like
go
every
out
time,
again, dude.
I know every time I leave the house, something hits me in the face, and I'm just gonna stay indoors.
Go get like
Forever.
what is it? You know the grinding and cutting like shields, like
Oh yeah.
Like a
that's what
welder's
you
mask.
need.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
dude,
don't
and that's
they
what's
wear-
like so important. People wear your masks.
Yeah.
Don't they wear
Absolutely.
those like face shields in some places? Like, what do dentists do? Well, if you're going to the dentist during this time, you literally have someone like
They
down
probably
breathing
have
into
the
your
face
face.
shield.
It's like Darth Vader
Yeah.
comes out, you know.
I'd be so happy with that.
I saw a billboard the other day that, like, you know, obviously we've been dealing with this COVID for several months now. We all know, wear masks, it helps. And
You think we all know that?
I know, but I saw a billboard the other day that just made me question, like, what is going on with the world? Like, how much do we have to baby people? Because I was driving the other day off of 183. I was just bored and I wanted to go around and drive. So I was just driving around. And there's a billboard up there that I don't remember the exact wording or the exact phrasing, but the message behind this billboard was, hey, when you buy fruits and vegetables at the store, make sure you wash them before you eat them. So, do we have to be reminding people of this? like, are we this fucked that if people don't know to wash fruits and vegetables? Like, if we don't wash our fruits and vegetables, we're fucked when it comes to masks. Like,
I mean, as someone who worked in a supermarket with fruit and vegetables, you're gonna want to do that at all times, not in a pandemic.
Right.
It's like,
I'm curious as to people who weren't already doing that.
Yeah, some group
I'm sure
designed it.
there were people
they paid for it. Like there was money and time and effort put into this to tell people wash your fruits and vegetables. Is that really where we're at?
I mean, what happens is somebody probably did a case study and then went, "Oh God!" Like it's like 30% of people probably were like, "No, I just eat it." Like,
yeah, it was just so disappointing to see that. And then it just, for some reason, it made me think about masks and all this other shit that we're going through. It's like, man, we're in trouble.
well, some people they think they're invincible. You know, they just have that mindset. It's like, I mean, that's something that happens to other people, but it doesn't happen to me. Like when I was on the way back from the store, I was walking through a parking lot, and this lady and her husband were getting out of a truck, and she says in the most disgusted tone as the door's opening and she's looking at me, "Ugh, look at all these mask people."
Wow.
And they're like not wearing masks, and then they walked into the liquor store, and I was just like,
Oh, look, there's someone. Look, there's a seatbelt person driving by.
right.
You know what I
Mask
don't get
people.
about this? It's
that?
there's strong correlation between people not wearing masks and the same type of people who are against pro-choice. So it's like, if you really care about human life that much, why aren't you wearing a mask? Question mark. It's also the same people who are the All Lives Matter group, and it's like, if all lives matter, where's your fucking mask? It's very backwards to me. It's like, if you fucking care about people, if you care about yourself, care about humanity and human life in general, that's what the fucking mask is for. If you have no symptoms.
Here's what it boils down to. It's about making an effort, and it's about, at worst case scenario, mildly inconveniencing yourself to possibly help society in general. It's what it boils down to.
Right. And
It's
that's
like-
the conversation that I would love to have with somebody that's just like, okay. It's like, why aren't you doing it? Oh, well, I don't think it's that bad. Okay. Or I don't even think it's real, because there are those people too. And it's like, okay, I'll concede to you right now. I will put myself in that mindset. And what if I concede and say, okay, let's say that I believe that it's not real. Now you do the same for me. Right. And you say, let's just say that you believe that it is real. Now, what's the downside? Whose scenario ends up way fucking worse? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you wearing a piece of cloth on your face? Even if you don't believe
I'm
it.
confused as to, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, are these going to be the same people who don't want the vaccine, or are they going to be first in line for the vaccine?
First in line, 100%.
No, I don't know.
Unless they're anti-vaxxers.
Right.
Is that the same?
It's like a visual anti-vax, right?
I don't know, man.
I mean,
And I've seen people try to say that it prohibits breathing and is like dangerous from like an oxygen deprivation thing. And I'm like, you do realize surgeons wear masks all day, every day for hours on end, and they're just fine.
Also, like any car or like motorbike helmet is the same oxygen situation. Like, yeah, you'll get, I guess,
It's
a little bit
piece
more
of fucking
CO2 buildup.
fabric. It's also, how long are you needing to wear it for? You're out at a store for what, maximum an hour and a half, maybe, depending on what you're buying. Like, even that's a stretch. I don't know. It's not long.
Well, it's like, what is it? That's that type of shit that drives me so insane in studies, where somebody goes like, you receive less oxygen by wearing a mask, right? And then you're like, that's a true statement. But then you look into it, it's like, you receive 0.00000, like 37% less oxygen while wearing a mask. And it's like, it's bullshit.
But my oxygen levels.
Right.
I guess it's just annoying that every matter of grand discussion ends up with just both sides yelling at each other. Like, I don't know how a virus that kills humans has become a political thing. I just don't understand.
It's mind-boggling. Yeah.
It's like now getting political when you talk about wearing masks. It's like, that's surely I don't know. I could forget it. It's just
There's a
irritating.
lot we
isn't
could
it?
get into.
Just wait,
I also want to point out, like, I'm making these correlations between like people who are pro-life and people who are in the All Lives Matter camp, which is a very wrong way of thinking. That's not up for discussion. I'm not saying that every single person who chooses not to wear a mask is also this type of person. I'm saying there's a very strong crossover.
You're talking
I'm
about
not
the Venn
trying to
diagram overlap.
Right.
I'm not making a generalization of every single person. It's just observational, Venn diagram, etc. There's a lot of crossover.
So in the end, whatever you may think, we're not doctors. We don't know. But the doctors are the ones saying to wear a mask. So listen to
We're
them.
listening to the doctors.
Yeah, listen to the people who know what they're talking about. Listen to the medical professionals who understand this better than we do.
I feel like I haven't heard Fauci in a while. Is he still being given screen
'cause-
time? Or is Trump trying to hide him away?
I
I
thought
think he's
he's
being
not
hidden.
with.
I feel like I want to email Fauci and be like, if you need a new platform, if they're keeping you off the telly, I've got some Slo-mo subscribers. just go on there for a bit.
Let's collab with him in all of our content.
That'd be great.
Speaking of slow-mo, you put out that video with the Apple Watch and ejecting water out of it. I think I texted you after I watched that video. I can't believe you jumped into that tub the way you
I was
did.
committed.
That seems so dangerous, and you went full on for it.
A lot of people in the comments were like, "Oh, you could have just dipped your wrist in water."
Did you say, "Oh, I didn't think of that"?
Yes.
That would have been nearly entertaining enough.
Right.
No, I did that. That's how I filmed all the slow-mo shots. I didn't actually jump in the bath every time. That bit was just a joke. It was actually I didn't get hurt at all. Like, I guess I knew that I might get hurt. Like, I thought I would like whack my shin or something, or my arm, or I just landed only in water, and I think I was quite lucky. It went well.
Yeah, I would have
you-
been
so-
convinced my leg or my arm would have hit the rim of that tub.
See,
Absolutely.
what's great is I haven't watched that video yet, but were you filming that at home?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's one of the best. Like, you guys, I'm sure, can all attest to this. There's so many times where like we're like on a set and we like want to do some stunt, and then like the director and people who are very responsible are like, no, but like don't actually do it. And then we're always like, no, but it'll be fine. Like, no, like insurance, blah blah blah, can't get you hurt for like other productions, blah 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 blah. And then what almost always happens is that second that person like turns away, then Wiltshire's like, no, but like actually just like fucking tackle me, like, you know.
Just do it real fast.
Well, it's like when we filmed Bloodfest in that scene I had where like I drove away in the car and I gave the double finger. Like I did one take like that, and then they stopped me. Everyone was like, cut the camera. They're like, listen, you got to have one hand on the wheel. You can't take both hands off the wheel. So we didn't do any other takes like that. I only did one take like that before I got in trouble. And then that's the take they used in the movie.
Absolutely. It's the best take. Wait, was
Right.
it even in the movie? Because I know a bunch of like your
you
entire
got
plot
cut.
line got cut.
That one
but
was in there.
okay,
Yeah, that was in the scene. I think that was
Another
my only
thing-
scene in the final cut.
yeah,
I love how much of you was cut from that movie. It's
There's
so
so
funny.
much. It was so
like
much.
99%.
It was like I was out there in the middle of the night with bugs and shit all around
It's
me.
on the DVD though.
What a waste.
It's on the digital,
waste
digital
of
and
time.
physical release of the movie. I think though.
It was fun. It was fun though. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Man,
And yeah, it's an extra.
Did I tell you about my time on Bloodfest?
I don't think so.
Which you'll
Were you in
never know.
Bloodfest?
No, Gavin. And here's why. They were like, it was like last minute, and like they were just like, hey, we need some people to like just to fill out some bodies for the scene. And then I was like, oh, actually I have like a pretty slow edit. I was like, I'll go help out. Yeah. So I go over, and it's the scene of like all the gamers like at the
Oh, yeah.
so I was one of the gamers, but they kept like musical chairing us around while they were like trying to figure out the shot. And it was all about like, oh, you're wearing a beanie. I don't want you close to this person wearing a beanie. Josh Ornelas has lines. Okay. So they first put me literally right next to Josh Ornelas. And I was like, this will be fun. Cool. I'll have like a moment because he's got lines and great. And then it was like, okay, wait, no, we want you over here. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And they're like, all right, actually go to that very back corner. And I'm like, okay. So I go and I get in this back corner. I'm at this like gaming station. And then we start rolling. And then I remember I have this moment where I'm just like, I'm fake playing games. And then I go, I don't think I can be seen by any of these cameras. Like I remember, and I just go, "There's no way." I was like, and for me, it wasn't about that. It was just more just like, but I'm gonna have to sit here for like the next like hour or whatever.
Just
and
in
sure
case.
enough,
Yeah.
in every way that they framed it, it was like this.
You
whole,
can't even
like,
see like a shoulder or like a piece of hair
nothing,
from you or anything.
Nothing. I'm not there. I'm non-existent. And what was great was they needed one extra person, and so I called Austin Harper and I was like, "Hey, I need you to get over here." And then when he showed up, they're like, "Oh, actually, we got somebody else." So he's not needed. And then the director was just like, just have him like walk by through the background with an energy drink. So Austin then made it into the movie walking by while I was stuck in this corner that no camera could see.
So you were just his handler.
Pretty much, yeah. No, it's so funny though. Man. And so I joked with them about it. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, but did you hear what happened to Gus?"
Yeah. He was super featured and then super not featured.
Good times.
I think my favorite.
It's on the DVD.
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah.
DVD. There's the whole Gus cut there. I think my favorite cameo though is Gavin's personally.
Yeah, I had to I had to film myself die.
Film your own death.
They were like, "Well, we want to get it in slow-mo." I was like, I'll film it." So I just filmed a dummy of myself wearing the same outfit that I was wearing as I was filming it because I was in costume behind the camera too. It was weird. Weird
Saw
moment.
it in half. It's amazing.
I don't think they did they use the slow-mo? I can't remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I think they
did?
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a few seconds. I mean, the actual clip was like 4 minutes of blood going everywhere.
I mean, technically, you can say you filmed your own death. So
Yeah,
So
that's what I've always wanted.
I was really happy because one of the jokes I came up with while we were filming, it was like something we were riffing, and that I was like, oh, it'd be funny if this would happen. But it started off with Nick Rutherford's character in the beginning when we're all like figuring out what's going on. We're all trapped in that room trying to figure out what to do. And he's like, oh, there's no service. And I was like, oh, you should also like take out your vape and be like, and my vape's dead. Like, great. And so that became like a running gag throughout the video or through the movie. And then the scene where I die, sorry guys, spoiler, where his hand comes through me. I was like, he should be taking a hit off his vape through my body. And sure enough, that's what happened.
That was
great.
in.
I've been trying to watch. Speaking of movies, I've been trying to watch whatever I can to pass the time right here at home. And I saw last week or the week before, whatever, Knives Out was available to stream on Amazon Prime. And I was like, oh,
Love that movie.
yeah, I never saw it. I never got a chance to see it for some reason.
just don't spoil it.
No spoiler.
Okay,
so
because April bought it for me for Father's Day. So I'm like, yeah.
So I watched it, and it was good. I really liked it. And I normally, I guess I don't look on Amazon Prime Video very much. And so when I was done, I was like, what else is on here? So I scrolled down and it was like, recommended for you. And there were some movies that I had seen, and I kept scrolling. And then one of the movies that it recommended for me was 75 minutes of old ads from drive-ins. And I was like, it's got to be mislabeled, right? So I hit play.
No, you clicked it?
And it's 75 minutes of old ads from drive-in theaters. Like,
Did you love it though?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, see? I'll say you
right up
reinforced
your
the
alley.
algorithm.
But it was like, are you hungry? Go to the snack bar. We have all kinds of food and drinks for you. And like a
all
countdown.
go
Like the
to
movie,
the lobby.
yeah, the movie starts in 3 minutes. And I was like,
bizarre.
I miss going to movies.
yeah, it was so bizarre that it was on there. Like someone took the time to digitize it and upload it, and then the algorithm thought, hey, you know what that guy would like? 75 minutes of ads from drive-ins.
But
That
I mean,
really-
they were right. It piqued
And
your
they-
interest.
It did.
But like that does really make you question your interest or what you've been watching.
I feel like old weird shit is interesting. I always like it when people make videos about like they found some old tapes on a machine, that no one has the machine for anymore, so you have to like re-spool the tape and then listen to what was on it, and it's like someone's home movie from the decades ago.
It took me so long to explain the concept of VHS and having to rewind it to my daughter. Like she's like, no, but what do you mean? I'm like,
Physical.
No, you can't just like click. Like you, it had a physical. It was on. Like I was like getting shit out to like explain it to her, and I'm like, it was like it stretched across, and once it would play across the thing, and that would put the picture up, and then when you were done, you had to then pull it all backwards onto the other spool. And she's like, but why wouldn't they just like have it play again? And I'm like, like
It doesn't work that way.
It is a good point. Why didn't they just put it on like an endless loop tape?
Because
that just blew my mind.
Because
There wasn't room. It would have, dude.
It would have come back on top of what it was playing.
Well, no.
but
Gavin's
but, like-
right. Gavin's right. It would work, but it would have to be like fucking huge horizontally.
It'd be one reel, wouldn't it?
Right, because it could only be 2 spools, and the whole duration of the film would have to be able to stretch across these 2 spools. So horizontally, it would be like the length of like a house or something, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I don't want to spend all the time thinking about it right now.
My mind is just not able to grasp that concept.
You took your hands off.
No, this is the best. This is even better.
There was.
Please do the other one. You look like a moose.
You look like a Pokemon.
It's a very Pika! Wait, what would I say? A.
Oh. That one's gonna fall for sure.
The best part the best part of those old drive-in ads is all the old stuff that they would say that's totally inappropriate now. It's like nothing that's terrible, but it'd be like, and don't worry, Mom, you don't have to cook dinner when the family goes home. You can just buy dinner here and eat in the car. It's like, well, I wouldn't say that, like say it like that. Just the casual.
Ignore
the
your
past.
womanly duties and order dinner tonight.
Just the casual. Take the night off, Mom.
It's like
Don't bother buying your woman a watch. There's a clock in the kitchen.
yeah, exactly. God, yeah. There's so it's like when
I'm
you watch
mocking
like
it.
that.
I'm not saying it.
It's like when you
we
watch
got
that like
this.
really old Disney stuff, the like super fucked up, problematic racist shit.
There's a
That
lot of stuff
man,
that does not age well.
dude,
I feel like nothing ages well.
Oh yeah, but it's like they have disclaimers like on Disney Plus that like times they'll be like, it was a different time. There's some things that people might be very upset about. But I remember like having my mind blown. Probably the worst thing I've ever seen in like a Disney thing was there was a scene. It was an old animation. It was probably from like the 40s or something, and it was like people in a church, and there was a black lady with a black child that was crying a lot, and they had like the white person kept turning around and shushing them until eventually they had the mother pull out a full watermelon and stuff it in the baby's mouth to stop it from
What
crying.
was this on?
What?
This is like an old Disney animation.
Oh my god!
And I was like, holy shit. Like, that is the most racist thing I've ever seen animated.
yikes, man.
Yeah, it was real bad. There's
Yeah,
some
none
really
of that
bad
holds
stuff
up.
in their past.
Yeah. I don't
think that one made it to Disney Plus. I think that one they just tried
think-
to.
Was it last week we talked about, when John was on, we talked about Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
And I started watching it the other night. I hadn't. It's been years since I watched it, and
Because of that podcast?
Yeah, because we had talked about it. So I was like, oh, I'm going to start watching it. And I started watching it. And, as I was watching the movie, I just came to the realization that it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a remake of Chinatown, but for children. I don't know if any of you have ever seen Chinatown. It's
I don't think I have.
Polanski
Is it
film with Jack
Is that
Nicholson.
Jackie Chan or no?
No, Jack Nicholson. But it's a similar story where there's like a seedy development going on in Los Angeles, like trying to misappropriate resources. And there's a detective who's hired to try to get to the bottom of it. And it's like this long, complicated story, and it all comes back around. And I was like, I can't keep watching this movie. I need to step away for a little bit. I got like too deep into my own head, into my own thoughts about it.
Like that VHS tape, man.
Like the VHS tape. But yeah, did anybody else watch that Worldwide Developer Conference today that Apple had on?
No.
No, I missed it. Anything good?
There's a new smiley face, Gavin.
What does it cost?
New
Like
smiley face?
$600?
Oh, the Finder?
The Finder icon in the dock. They rounded.
You've always hated that thing, haven't you?
I used to like it. I was like, they spent so much time on it. They didn't talk about it this time, but I saw it and I felt like it was laughing at me.
Why don't
It's
you
got-
like? You don't like it because it's getting happier, right? Like
It got
it's
happier.
slowly.
Like, the last time they updated it, it became happier, and I didn't like that. This time it's fine. It's the same level of happiness, but now the corners are rounded.
Isn't it rounded now?
It's kind of rounded. It used to be really sharp. Now it's a little rounded. And in the next version, it's going to be really rounded. It's like they changed the whole design aesthetic where everything is a lot more rounded on the corners now.
So what's the new operating system? They've like changed numbers, haven't they?
Big Sur
But isn't it now?
Sorry, what
it's
was
no
it?
longer OS 10.
No, it's still
Did you
OS
say
10.
Mixer?
Is
Big Sur, S-U-R.
I thought they changed the
If
actual
we're gonna
number.
talk about Mixer, ooh, that's a whole.
Right?
They stopped updating the last number because it became too confusing. So now they just give it names.
Well, they've done that for a while. Isn't it always like cats or something?
It was for a while.
Yeah.
And then
Now
it
it's
was
like places in California. Yeah.
Hi, I'm a PC and Android user. If you can't tell.
But they're going to start.
What?
They're going to stop using Intel chips for their processors. So we're going through this whole fucking transition.
Are they
again.
going to AMD?
No, they're going to make their own chips.
Oh, sorry. Good luck. See how that goes.
I will
God.
say in their defense, Chad, their 2-year-old iPhone has a better processor than flagship Android phones these days.
Also, maybe they'll be better able to like power regulate and heat regulate their own stuff because I feel like all their Intel stuff immediately thermal throttles, and most laptops can't even power it fully.
Yeah.
Like most Apple laptops are just garbage.
They've
power.
gotten, but I mean, to Chad's point, they've gotten really good at mobile processors. It's a whole other thing to do like desktop processing. And
Yeah, I just know they're going to create some dumb fucking socket. That is the first thing that jumped into my mind.
it doesn't matter on a Mac. Like I mean, it's like
know.
that old video I made. You don't ever buy
It's true. You
a
can
Mac
never get it.
CPU and swap it out. You know.
I saw a funny tweet the other day that was like, "Hello and good morning to everyone except the person who decided to take away SD card readers from the sides of MacBooks."
God, you guys don't hate that so
You guys
much.
don't even have USB ports in your MacBooks
There's nothing
anymore.
anymore. I hate
we got USB.
USB-C.
But come on, let's be real. Like,
You need a
there's
converter
still,
for everything.
right. There is still
true.
way too many devices that rely upon USB 2.0 and 3.0. It is.
I don't know what you're talking about, Chad. It's so convenient to carry this with me everywhere I go.
See, that's
in case I
horrible.
need to use it.
Or
Well,
the
good thing we're
fact
not
that
going anywhere.
God, there's just so many times in our office, like, where people will be like, oh man, my connection's really slow. And I'm like, oh, well, here, just like plug in an Ethernet cable. And they're like, well, hold on, I have to go find an adapter. And I'm like, Jesus, fuck, man. Like, so like, same thing with HDMI. It's like,
It's the dumbest thing ever. It's so incredibly dumb
Right.
and frustrating.
it's like, well, but we can make the case like 3 centimeters smaller, like, and then you lose all convenience. And it's like
Something's right.
everyone in this world would be like, make the case a little bigger so that we can have USB ports, HDMI ports, and Ethernet ports.
But some things it's like, they had what I thought was a great system for charging laptops, where they had those MagSafe adapters. where it's
MagSafe
like
was awesome.
magnetically connected, so that if something tripped over your power cord, it would just come right out. And now, USB-C.
Oh, did you ever see the video I posted from one of my security cameras when Smee ran under
yeah.
the table and it tugged the cable of my laptop and it like spun the laptop into my arm right here and it like cut my skin because it's
Lord.
it's so
Jesus.
thin and sharp edged, and I was like, I miss MagSafe so much. That thing was great.
MagSafe was awesome.
And you could still MagSafe USB-C, I'm sure. Just have like a little thing that is magnetic.
I think it's the
Yeah,
depth.
connection.
I think it's the depth though, because that plug was really, really shallow, and it was the magnet that held it there.
You
And
can
since
always have something
USB-C
that
is already
goes into
established,
the USB-C, but the thing that goes into the thing that goes into it maybe is magnetic. So like you have something that's actually plugged into your thing,
she's a
and
genius.
then a magnet attached there.
You're 100% right. And Apple will love that because it's one more fucking adapter. So like they will be,
Yep.
they'll be all about it.
Isn't the best or the most common Apple product of all time the headphone adapter
Oh, I think so. I think you're right.
or something?
You mean ever since the iPhone changed to like whatever the fuck this thing is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lightning.
Apple
Which
plug is
now
what I-
some of their stuff is USB-C there. Like the new iPads are USB-C on the charger.
It's almost like
but the
making
new
your own
iPhones-
plugs just for the fucking sake of it is really inconvenient to mass consumption. Anyway,
It's a mess. It's just a big mess.
The thing that gets
I
me
feel-
is like to Chad's point earlier, right? It's like they make all of these things that are inconvenient and like all these decisions just to like try to shave millimeters off of a design. And then most people get the fucking phone and stick it in a case that makes it way huger anyway. It's like, what does it matter? No one cares. Like if you shave off like a millimeter by making a non-standard plug, like people would be happier to have either a bigger battery or a standard plug versus saving that tiny little millimeter.
Yeah, or a laptop with a fan big enough to cool the CPU.
right. But see, they love that shit because then they're like, oh, but now we're the only thing that uses this, so you have to buy it from us. And anybody who wants to make third-party versions of this, oh, they have to buy like, you know, the patent rights or whatever the fuck to create it, and they
Chad,
make more money because of it.
I hate how you're doing this and you're talking directly into camera. You're just like, oh,
I am
you have
just
to
looking.
buy this.
I'm passionate about the Apple
Stop
Android issue. Barbara.
Yeah.
God.
We didn't really touch on it, but I made a joke because it sounded like you said Mixer before. But did you guys read the news about Mixer today?
Mixer is gone.
Bye.
So they just suddenly became Facebook or something?
yeah.
Or like Facebook is, are they buying them? I'm confused as to what's going on. Maybe you guys know more than I do, but
I haven't
they
looked
put
at
out
too
a
much
tweet
'cause
today.
My son had eye surgery this morning. Don't worry, he's all good. He did super great, and in fact, we were actually expecting him to be a lot more low key. He's still like trying to run around and go insane. But so I've been keeping up with the news today. I just saw like a little bit on like Twitter. I saw as like a former like partner acquisition manager or whatever was like apologizing, being like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I feel bad for like all the people I brought over to Mixer." And everybody's like, "No,
So
dude,
what
it's cool. I
happens
mean, you're
to-
doing your job."
What happens to all the exclusive, like the shrouds and the ninjas? Do they just
what I
What
wanna
they're
know.
doing is they're going to shut down the service as of July 22nd, and they're going to begin moving over their existing partners to Facebook Gaming. So I assume that anybody who had a partnership and was streaming via Mixer gets moved over to Facebook Gaming. I don't know, obviously, bigger names, Shroud and Ninja, they might have totally different contracts. They're probably not going to end up on Facebook Gaming, but
Yeah.
it seems like most of their partners are doing that.
Dude, that's
Well,
going to depend on how good of a lawyer they have when they negotiated that contract. I am so curious to hear about
I mean, it
that.
might be that just because the change happened, maybe that they keep all the money they got up front, and now they're free to do whatever. I mean, that it could be ideal for them.
Well, right, you know, and that's how what I'm so curious about. It's like, okay, you know, they obviously got like a sign-on bonus, and they were probably going to be paid a certain amount over the course of some time, and they were guaranteed certain things. And what's really interesting is that could play out a bunch of things. Like if they like really held out and they were like, no matter what, guaranteed we get this amount. But then there's other scenarios where they're like, oh, well, you know, in the event of like this shutting down, you know, this deal will be ended, or you might even have to repay some things. Blah blah blah.
I see in chat everyone is saying that Shroud and Ninja are now free agents.
That's
They're off
I can't. They must be very happy about that.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. They probably because they've been doing it for like. Has it even been a year?
A year, maybe?
It's been
Even?
it's been a year, if not a little more, actually. I think because I think this all started happening when I was still in the marketing department, which feels like forever ago.
Yeah,
I feel like now they're just going to be like, okay, YouTube and Twitch, who's going to pay us more? And now they're just going to
Get even
get
more
another
money?
fat
well,
wad.
that's the thing. It's like they made all that bank off of Microsoft. Now they're just gonna go back and stream on Twitch again because they still, I'm sure, have like so many fucking people that follow them there. You know what I mean? Even already, like literally, they'll just do one stream and everyone will get that notification and be like, "Oh, we're back!" And then fucking sub party, and it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be absolutely wild. They're gonna make so much
Yeah.
money.
It just seems so crazy to shut down a service without like any sort of heads up otherwise. I
Yeah.
don't know. That seems a little shady. But
Was
maybe I just don't
it
know
was
enough about it.
August of last year when Ninja went over to Mixer.
Really? Okay. So yeah, just under a year. Man.
I mean, how else are they going to do it? It's I mean, speaking like from the Mixer, like they have to give notice. It's just a matter of how much notice do you give.
Sure.
I mean, it sucks for everyone who worked on that and worked in that ecosystem. You know, I don't laugh at the fact that they have to shut down a service like that. It's shitty. I'm sure a lot of people put a lot of hard work into trying to launch it. I mean, sometimes things just don't work out. I mean, hopefully people can move on. You know, obviously we're talking about Ninja and Shroud, but there's there's probably tons of other smaller streamers who stream on Mixer who now have to figure out, you know, what platform are they going to go on, or what are they going to do?
That's the thing, man. The people that I feel bad for are the people who have been like really trying to grow and they made Mixer a priority, right? Because there's a lot of people who were like, you know, really they were bigger and they're like, we'll go over and stream there as well. But
I think there's been a couple people who work at Rooster Teeth who've used Mixer or still use Mixer now.
And like it's hard to grow a channel like YouTube,
I mean, yeah, it
live
could happen.
streaming, anything.
It could happen with any service at any point.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It's one of the reasons we really appreciate all you first members and people who watch on roosterteeth.com.
Yeah,
Please
that's
God.
why we're always talking about our website and how wonderful it is. But yeah, you guys being here on First and just on our website watching live streams and watching content on the website, like it's really nice that you guys support us here because we have no control over YouTube. We have no control over any other platform besides our own. So support us here if you can. And if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to it on a podcast platform, come on over to roosterteeth.com.
Yeah.
It'll mean a lot.
Yeah,
Being
you can.
beholden to a third-party platform is scary.
If you ever see me looking down to the side over here, it's because I'm reading chat. I've got chat open.
Same. I have chat open
on my
too.
laptop right over here, and that's why I can keep up with what people are saying while we're talking.
You guys can watch this live if you're watching the archive. Everybody can. You don't even have to be a first member anymore for right now because during the pandemic, we were like, hey, we want to entertain more people. So all of our live streams, and we did a whole bunch more, they're all free.
Yeah.
We're streaming all the time on Rooster Teeth, and you can watch completely for free. You can even make a free account if you want to chat with us because we like to interact and joke around with you guys. So go check it out.
If you guys ever want a lot of pressure put on you, stream Portal for a bunch of people watching you live. Because I've been doing that twice so far, once a month, essentially on Saturdays. But like, man, it is a lot of pressure to be solving a puzzle with everyone being like, "It's okay, you're doing great." You're like, shut up, I'm trying.
The square peg goes in the square hole.
And some of the ones that I wasn't getting were like so blatantly obvious. And then when I got it, I'm like, I am so sorry you guys had to watch me struggle through that.
We filmed something the other day, like another puzzle game thing that was that was really fun and reminded me a lot of that. I don't know when that comes out, but it should be pretty soon.
It should be.
Can you say the game?
We played a Superliminal. If you guys have heard of it, we only played the demo because that's what was available on Steam. But apparently, we found out after we were done filming the video that there is a full version out. I think
it's on the Epic Game Store.
Epic Games, yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's if you like games. Again, we only played the demo, but if you like games like Portal and like puzzle solving and kind of breaking the meta of a game, the way you think a game works, it was really fun. It was really a lot of fun to play.
John raced us basically, so we each went one by one without watching each other, and tried to see who would get through the puzzle and the whole level fastest.
What is the best
won't
puzzle
spoil
game?
anything, but
Super
The
Puzzle
best puzzle
Fighter
game?
2.
Yep, done. Nope,
dude,
100%.
I mean,
nope.
it's hard.
Yeah, you really got to solve those puzzles in that game.
It's in the name.
It's hard to beat Portal 2, honestly. Like, I know I'm playing it right now, and maybe that's why it's on the front of my mind, but Portal 2 is just such a good game, and the
Portal 2 is
puzzles are
really good.
so much fun to solve.
I feel like for me, puzzle games are kind of polarizing because I don't know whether I'm enjoying them or not as I'm playing them. Like, I remember playing all of The Witness and being like, I don't know if I'm having any fun.
Oh, The Witness. I forgot about that. Oh,
Which is
that
the
was,
draw the line, but
yeah.
500 times. I feel
It
like
was a good game, but man, that was
it was
brutal.
a clever game and it looked cool. Like I liked the style of how it looked. But I got to this part where I solved a puzzle without knowing how I did it. Like it just teaches you. There's no tutorial, but like you'll find a puzzle that is very obvious how you do it, and then the next one it's less obvious. But the first one of these sets of puzzles, I didn't understand it, and I solved it, and I was like, oh well, shit, and I just stopped. I had to go somewhere else because I was like, I don't know what to do on this part. I didn't want to Google
You're
it.
fucked. Yeah, if you don't understand step 1, then yeah, you're fucked.
I just want to point out real quick, Ryan Flannery in the chat said, the tape for a VHS is 247.5 meters long, so your looping tape would need to be a minimum of 124 meters wide.
Okay, that's pretty big.
But you can get those
it
little
could be
like
done.
jingle tapes that just have one. It just like unspools and then respools onto one thing.
Right, but it's still the mass, right? Like of how you fit. Because right now it winds up all around.
It wouldn't have to be,
So I have a question.
0.1 of a
No,
kilometer.
but it's
What if you said the tape would have to be the spool would have to be 124 meters?
that's it.
Well,
Yeah, they said.
What if you stacked 2? The first one had the first half of the movie, the second one had the second half of the movie, and then it's only 62 meters.
Sure,
with 3.
And then so
point
that's what I'm
is-
getting at. So you could stack a couple and you could cut down.
It's honestly, it sounds like a Factorio problem where it's like, I'm only making 2 of these resources now.
Oh my god, fucking!
It's all. I don't think I've ever texted Gus so much.
We text
Then-
all the time now about Factorio.
I'm jealous. Now I want to play Factorio.
you're still
so
going?
I can...
And we talked about it last week, and Barbara almost fell asleep because it's a really boring game to talk about, and it's boring
Well,
to
now I
watch.
want to play it.
But my factory is so different now than it was last week. I've done so
God.
much shit. I've got 4 nuclear reactors in a little 2x2 grid. I've got power coming out of my anus.
We
should,
did game time on Factorio. I don't think I've ever seen Gus happier.
It's
Like
so
he
much
had,
fun.
look at that right there. Look at that smile.
Yeah,
That right there.
it's so much
His
fun.
Factorio smile was on the entire time as he's just talking about it and showing people what to do.
We and I looked into it. There is multiplayer, so we could host. We could do a multiplayer Factorio session.
We've been sending each other, and it's super lazy. Like I'm not sending screenshots. I'm just taking a picture of the screen with my phone and sending them to Gus, and he's been doing the same. And I'll zoom in and analyze everything that's got going on, and we point out problems in each other's factories. Like I sent you a picture of my new nuclear reactor setup, and you were like, "What's this thing here?" And it was just a conveyor belt that just went nowhere. It hit one of my heat pipes, and I was like, "Oh, thanks. Yeah, I didn't notice that. All of my spent cells were just on the floor."
Yeah,
Oh,
or
man, now
I'll
I
send
wanna
Gavin.
try it.
I'll send Gavin a picture, and he'll be like, "What's going on here?" Like, "Oh, that's the part I'm embarrassed about. Like, it's all fucked up over there. I'm going to work on redoing that." What was it? Oh, you were like, interesting decision to put all your research packs on one conveyor belt. I was like, "Why did you say that?" That's what I was. Now I gotta fix
Yeah,
that.
it's like, surely, what if too many of one kind hit the end and it's not needed? Do they all get stacked up? And you're like, yeah, that's the problem with it.
Someone
Right.
in chat,
Right, Barbara?
Laser T pointed out, they said Barbara has FOMO. I absolutely do. And that is the whole reason I started playing Animal Crossing in the first place. And then I got addicted to Animal Crossing. And then you guys started playing Factorio.
Yeah, I'm done with Animal Crossing now. Yeah,
No,
stop playing.
don't be.
No, oh yeah, I watched that happen too. Because you were very much just like, I mean, it seems okay, or whatever. Okay, I can pick it up. And then now, anytime someone compliments another island, like John and Gus were talking about, like, oh, we went to these islands and they were great. Barbara's like, well, you haven't seen my new island yet.
I redid it from scratch. It took me for fucking ever because of the goddamn trees and flowers that you can't stack in your inventory or put in your fucking house
how many
inventory.
hours
This
You
is
have
one
it.
of this is one of my last messages from Gus, by the way. He's circled one of the thing.
That's the heat exchanger that was breaking up the conveyor belt. I was like, "What's going on right here?"
Gus, I have 335 hours.
Jeez, wow.
Although I will say, there's times where I'm playing Animal Crossing where I'll just have it on and be doing stuff on my phone or cooking or whatever, and it's just on. So I'm sure there's a couple hours where I wasn't as active, but yeah.
Still, that's a lot.
I can't talk shit about anyone's played time in games.
What's your highest?
Don't.
Wow, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've been playing
What we
WoW
talking?
Classic. Let me give you. I haven't played retail WoW, WoW that originally came out, and I barely played this last expansion and the previous, on and off. I've been playing WoW Classic, hardcore, but that's a whole new thing, new character and everything. My warrior, my original character that again I haven't played in quite a while, has right around a year of game time.
Oh my god.
That's
A
just
cumulative year.
yes of
So
in-game time.
365 days times 24 hours. That's 8,760 hours.
Plus, I have alts. There you go. Yeah,
That's so
I have
pretty.
alts just in. Oh, God, here I'll fire it up real fast. I'll show you what my playtime in classic
let me
is.
just launch it.
8,000 hours.
Yeah, almost 9,000.
And again, Gav, that's just my warrior. So but now I will say that is over the course of 15 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's a significant percentage of your life.
That's still true. Yep.
That
here's-
registers as
Let me tell you how
percent.
that happened. All right. Around the time I got into WoW, April and I started dating.
Oh,
And I was
no.
like, hey, here's an interest we can share together. So, we would play the
Okay.
game together.
so it wasn't a waste of time. You got a family out of it.
Right, exactly.
That's great.
It was an investment.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So on even WoW, so just WoW Classic, I have 2 max level characters, and I'm working on a 3rd. So let's see. Warrior, total time played 28 days, 15 hours.
Wow, dude. Wow, dude.
Yep, and let's see, my hunter.
One of my favorite features too in Animal Crossing is you could sometimes get your villagers to say something. Like one of them was asking for a catchphrase, and I told them to start saying "yeet."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now all of them say it, and they end every single conversation with like, "How you doing, Barbara? Yeet."
That's adorable.
One of them calls me Cookie, and I hate it.
That's
I'm
amazing.
like, one cookie.
Yeah, they started calling me Cruiser, and that spread through the island like a virus.
13 days, 13 hours on my hunter.
Wow.
Good lord.
dude.
I think
So
the
much time.
game I've put the most hours into, I think it might be Skyrim. And that's probably like 250, because I played it twice, and I did everything twice, but
Yeah,
my light just overheated.
Let's say there's
Yeah,
comment in chat, and Chad proceeds to not speak for the rest of the podcast because I fired up. Wow, I closed it. I closed it.
Yes,
I'm already
we're definitely not
at
playing games.
60. I'm already at 60 hours in Factorio.
Yeah, you've
Damn.
really been putting the time in.
It's honestly like one of the few upsides to this whole pandemic is actually being able to play a game without giant breaks in between. Like,
Yeah.
well, the worst thing for me is like putting down a Fallout and trying to pick it back up and wondering what the hell I was doing and all the equipment I got. I'm enjoying the fact that I can just go all into a game from beginning to end in one go without going somewhere.
And
So-
it's a lot. Like you were already playing last week. We talked about it, and since the last week, you've probably seen just about everything you can in that game at this point. I mean, there's probably some things you haven't really messed with too deeply, but you've probably at least seen just about everything you can in that game.
Yeah, there's some stuff that I'm too dumb for. Like I can't figure out railway signals to save my life. I did the tutorial and didn't understand what made the trains go.
Did you do the tutorial?
That was actually very good. That's a
Was
very
it
good one. Yeah.
Some of the circuit network stuff can get really complicated depending on like how fancy you want to get or how in depth you want to get with transmitting data.
Yeah. Also, Barb, I just think he needs more training.
Hey,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
my pun brothers in the house.
Always.
We
Wait,
there's an
hold on,
achievement.
I was trying to adapt, but there we go.
Do it.
Wait, I got
So
it.
it's just like you have your
See how
little
used
hand.
to we are in webcams? We're already used to doing it the opposite way. Oh, we're doing more.
Do it. You gotta put your hand
My
closer,
hand is
Barbara.
way larger than yours, though.
It looks
And
like-
you don't even have the tiny hands.
There you go. No, you were there.
It looks
Okay.
like Gandalf fist bumping Frodo.
Wait, yeah. Hold on. Oh, that just broke my brain. Why is that working? I never do it with this hand.
Also, Ian Holm died. That was sad.
Oh,
That was very
yeah.
sad.
He was how old was he? He was pretty old, right? Like 88 or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, he
Bilbo.
said he had so many iconic roles. Yeah, 88.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw him as a main character in anything. But great supporting actor.
He was
Very memorable.
Yeah, I always would
Yeah.
think of him as being from Alien. Well, those
Yeah.
are like the two roles that stand out
Ash.
most for me. It was Alien and Lord of the Rings.
God, Barb.
I've officially lost it.
Well, you gotta get your face out there, otherwise it's ruining the illusion. But closer to the camera, so
no,
it's
but
head.
no, you're not there. Hold on. Yep.
I can't see.
You're, yeah, there,
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 Oh, there.
yeah.
Oh, those are close. Nope. Yep,
Closer,
now
closer. There.
Yeah.
That's good.
But now you're too far from your mic for Discord.
You
to
gotta put your
register
face
you.
in the
Wait.
mic still.
Yeah.
I'll come back next time, next podcast, ready to go with this bit. Today it was tiny hands. Next week it'll be this.
It's official. We've reached the point where Barbara needs to get fresh air. She needs to get out.
I probably do, honestly. I don't even know if that's a joke at this point.
It's like you might be suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't even realize it.
Because
know
I'm
how
not
many-
wearing a mask.
How many parts per million is safe for CO2?
Safe? It's quite a bit, I would assume. What is it?
I'm pretty sure. I think like because of like carbon emissions, the global CO2 has gone up to like 300 parts per million if you're outside or something like that. But anything above 1,000 is potentially where you start to get a bit loopy and dumb.
Yeah, that's what I see here. 1,000
have to
is
go
when you
pretty
start
high, but-
complaining of drowsiness and poor air.
I love the fact that like Gus was just like, well, probably a lot. You know, that I was just like, I would be like, no, God, no, I don't know.
But it's just crazy how little CO2 you need to be trapped with before you just turn into an idiot.
So yeah, 1,000 parts per million would be like 1 part per 1,000, or like 0.1%,
Yeah.
and 0.1% CO2, and then you start to get sleepy.
Yeah. I've had it before. I've been in like very poorly ventilated areas and I've just gotten real stupid and then had to leave the room, and I've never figured out, like, I didn't figure out the time why, but it's because I was just like recycling the air in there.
Did I ever tell you about the time I almost passed out from inhaling helium?
What? No.
You know how
maybe.
you can inhale helium and it makes your voice really squeaky?
Yeah.
I was doing that with some friends of mine. I was a kid. I must have been like 11 or 12, and we were all sitting around at a party doing that. But I wasn't taking any real breaths between inhaling the helium.
So you're
it's
only
like-
breathing helium?
Right. I would inhale the helium, then like talk and exhale. Then instead of breathing, I would inhale more helium and keep doing it over and over.
Dude.
And it got to a point where like I was laughing, and then like my whole vision started getting black and coming down to a point, and I started like falling out of my chair. And then like one of my friends had to grab me by the shoulder, and then I guess it like shocked me, and I took a big deep breath, and then like
So-
the world opened back up.
Oh my god.
Imagine trying to plead with people for help, but when you're in that scenario, you'd be like, no, guys, I'm serious, please stop, help me. Like everyone's like, you know, it's just,
Yeah, hilarious! What a great bit.
yeah.
You almost died, lol.
I'm not joking. Like, you know, it's just like,
That's good. You do a good helium voice.
oh, thanks. I've never been told that before, but I'll put that on my resume.
Now you can put out your voice acting resume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Oh, someone in chat just reminded me that Ian Holm is also in The Fifth Element. And that's true.
yeah.
He was the priest guy.
Yeah, he was really good in that too.
Was he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Sorry,
I
I
love
watched
told
that
that I
not that long ago. 2 years ago, maybe. I guess it has been a while.
Yeah, it's a film you got to watch that at least once every 5 years.
Gavin, how did the Dusk Boys thing start?
Oh, there's been
Starting to
so
do
many
with-
comments about it.
I know. I keep seeing
yeah,
people
that
talk
was-
about the Dusk Boys.
Well, everyone in the AH office got really loopy one evening, and Trevor was saying that the oxygen was low. He may have been right.
Oh.
Maybe the AC went out and like the vents got blocked or something. But everyone was, it was just me and Alfredo and Trevor. And
You guys are getting loopy.
yeah, I started like blasting Hall & Oates through this wireless speaker really loud, and then we were playing catch with it while the music was coming out of it.
I still
And
have.
that formed the Dusk Boys.
I still have a video from RTX last year where you guys were going to do your Dusk Boy performance thing on
God.
stage, and
That's my
like there was a
favorite.
whole tech issue thing with everything going on with that. But I was filming you guys because you'd just gotten changed, and Gavin was smashed because people kept feeding him alcohol, and I was trying to take a picture of them, and Gavin? kept like. I know, right? He kept like falling over, and he would try to like pose, and then he would just like wobble back over and keep falling.
Yeah, instead of having too much carbon dioxide or monoxide in my lungs, I had too much alcohol in my blood, and
Yep.
it provided the same dusky effects.
I
The dust
helped,
equivalent.
I helped you out of your pants that evening.
Thank you, Chad. You're always there for me
Oh.
when I don't expect to see you, and you come in from nowhere and save the night. I think that was the last time I got really drunk.
Really?
Yeah.
That couldn't have been. That was over a year. No, well, just
Yeah.
almost a year ago.
It was. Yeah, I just don't do that anymore. Too old.
Yeah,
Too-
I'll tell you,
too-
man. Like, I realized there was no food situation for that. You remember that? And like everyone was like, "Smash!" That's one
But
of the
there
reasons
was
you got so
plenty alcohol.
smashed. There's literally no food. We had to get there early and like prep. We were like signing posters forever, and then it was just like, oh, everyone's really hungry, but there's just alcohol. So then everyone kept drinking, and I remember my friends were like, "We're on our way," and I'm like, "Listen, I need you to go buy like $200 worth of McDonald's."
Oh god! Yeah.
And then we got them in. And it was that saved my life that night.
I think the best thing ever is when you've been drinking a lot and then are blessed with McDonald's.
For sure.
Like when we did, Chad, you remember this, when we took over Off Topic this most recent time. And I forget if you were one of the people who came in with the McDonald's or if you were already there when it arrived. But that is like top 10, one of the best moments of my life.
I was there, I believe, when it arrived. Because
Gotcha.
I at first was just like, I'm gonna hang out because this will be fun, and let me know if you need anything. And then it was just like, then the ball that is that insanity, just like, and then I'm a part of it, and it's like, cool, but we need you to pour shots. Then it's like, now we need you to make people not have shots. And I'm like, got it. Like,
Take care of them. Yeah. So it's about time to wrap up. We're just about done here. I do want to mention one thing real fast before we go. If people want to check out the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel right now, we're going to do a live stream starting in about a minute, right at 6:30. People will be able to watch the first 3 episodes of Doom Patrol, and we have a post show going on called Doom Talkers. Like I said, it starts right at the end of this podcast, so go check out the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel, and you can see it over there. Like I said, first 3 episodes of Doom Patrol and our own post show called Doom Talkers. So go check it out. We're going to wrap up so that way you guys can go over there and watch it. But
Very cool.
thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us. And
Yeah.
we'll see you guys again next week.
Goodbye. Stay
Bye.
safe. Wear your mask.